Ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble!
This is the Three Wheels of Wrestling podcast.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Three Wheels of Wrestling podcast. Yes, another wrestling podcast. I am Willie Tiny, and my hosts today are L.A. Willie.
Yeah.
And Joe P. on the Steel Steps.
Thank you for having me today.
And our guest tonight is Chubby Dudley. How you doing today?
Yo, come on, let's do this thing. Let's have some fun, guys. Actually, you know what? Is this the first official Delco wrestling podcast?
I don't know. Is it?
Well, come on. LA
No.
Willie, where you are you in
No.
LA or
No.
where you at LA?
I'm in Delco.
Okay. Joe, where you at there, cuz? Come on.
Joe
I'm
got
sorry
the steel
I broke
step.
the trend. I'm in Northeast.
But you got the Steel Steps. Is that Delco?
Well, hold on, because Edge of Philly. I'm on Edge of Philly, and Edge of Philly is Delco.
There you go.
All right.
So it's not the first.
Not the first.
All right. So cheers to you. What are we going to refer you tonight as? Bay, Chubby, Dudley, or what do you want to be called?
Just call me Bay. Come on.
All right, Bay.
Yeah. I mean, there's too many. There's
Thank
too
you.
many names. Just call me Bay. Cheers.
All right. You went by different wrestling names. Hell Rider, Chubby Dudley. Is there any more?
Easy Rider.
Easy Rider. Hell
Hot
Rider.
Shot. The Hot Shot Bay Ragni. That was one. That was after my incident with Taz and being threatened and all. Yeah, then I just became the Hot Shot Bay Ragni.
I'll talk about that later. All right. You worked for various promotions. TWA, Tri-State Alliance, ECW, Extreme Championship Wrestling, ECWA, East Coast Wrestling Association, Law, Liberty All-Star Wrestling.
Yeah.
Any more to add to that list?
Yeah, there was a few. Did you say NWA?
No.
Yeah, I worked for NWA under Dennis Carluzzo. And there was a couple other promotions here and there that would pop up. You know, pop up, pop out, be gone.
Speaking of ECW, real quick to jump in here, did you I know you were there '96. Did you ever expect the years to follow that it would reach the heights that it did?
I was there from basically day one in '92 and '93. We were actually, little trivia thing is the very first TV matches in ECW TV history was my partner and myself, the Hell Riders, as against the Super Destroyers, and the product that was being delivered in '92 before we got TV and the product we were delivering after we got TV, I've been very vocal and I've been very outspoken, especially on my channel where I'm rewatching the history of everything.
Mhm.
And I thought it sucked. I really did. I thought it sucked. I did not like the product. Hey, and I was a big part of that. I sucked. I'll be the first to admit. So seeing and being a part of what was happening and then being let go and then being brought back 2 years later, and it was a completely new product and era. It was absolute night and day. And when I went back there and became a Dudley, I knew it was just absolute fucking magic, and I would just sit there and be like, I'm part of wrestling history right now. I knew it.
LA, do you have the next question or no?
The question I had is that time in ECW, like how was it working for Paul Heyman? Like everybody consider him, the genius and mastermind in the pro wrestling industry. Like how was that time, like working under Paul?
Inspirational. It was literally so inspirational because people got to see like a glimpse. What was that documentary that was done where they show the clip of Paul on the steps with one of his locker room speeches?
Mhm.
That he would do those speeches mainly before each arena show, and the way it worked back then was we would do an arena show, which was our TV taping, and then we would do 2 weeks of house shows throughout the area, and then come back to the arena every third week and do a new set of tapings. So we would get those inspirational speeches at those arena shows before those tapings. And, he would, like he kind of had maybe the bones of what he wanted to do, but you would just see his fucking mind was always going. Like the wheels were always turning. And especially with people like Raven, Raven at that time was either in the midst of his feud with Hack or the feud with Dreamer, and the wheels were just fucking always spinning. And I would just because I was also on the side starting to promote. I was doing it for about a year or two then, Liberty All Star Wrestling. So I was just always in tune, fucking watching what was going on, and because I wanted to learn.
Mhm.
So I was watching how he did things, and I was so inspired by that. I was realizing more and more during my time there, especially, and it brought me back to even my earlier days under Joel Goodhart and Jim Kettner and even Todd. Early on, I wanted to be more that fucking promoter / booker, creative guy, because I realized I was a lot better in that role. Maybe not as a promoter because I couldn't draw as well, but I still say to this day, I fucking know damn straight that the shows I promoted with Liberty All Star Wrestling, especially when I was running regularly, were fucking hot ass shows. And watching my booking unfold and my storylines, and I did it the same way. Like I had people like Frank Cody on one side or Maverick on another side, and we would fucking have those like they were my Dreamer and Taz, and Raven. Like we would fucking do the powwows and work the fucking angles. And when you're seeing your angles unfold in those stories, and it's making the crowd fucking pop, I was getting a better feeling off of that than being in the ring.
Nice.
So what does TWA mean to you?
Fucking heart and soul. My heart and soul. Joel Goodhart, like I could cry right now. Seriously. Fucking that fucking guy. He was, for people who don't know, my father passed away when I was 4. So I never really had a father figure in my life. When I went into the wrestling business, I wanted it. I wanted to be a fucking wrestler. And you can talk to Joel, you can talk to Hotbody, you can talk to Stetson, you can talk to any of those fucking guys from the TWA. I was the most dedicated. I was there every fucking night of training. I was always there, no matter how beat up I was, no matter how banged up I was. I fucking always went. I was there every night to take my beatings. But in the wrestling business, you have to know how to flip. I couldn't fucking flip. I could not flip. And I just did not have the confidence in my body's ability to flip. And Joel, Larry Winters, who was my original trainer with Ron Shaw, and then Hotbody and Stetson, who became my trainers, they all said to me, like, we're not going to let you, like, I could wrestle a match, but I couldn't flip. So they were like, well, we're not going to let you wrestle until you can flip. So I was in training for fucking 2 years because I couldn't flip. But I was there 4 nights a fucking week for 2 years, except for when I broke my ankle, but I was still fucking there. Joel Goodhart never fucking gave up on me. I gave up on myself. I was ready to fucking quit. I called Joel up and I said, look, I don't think this is for me. I think I should just fucking hang it up. And he's like, fuck you. You're not quitting. You're not hanging it up. He's like, meet me at the gym this Friday afternoon at whatever time it was. Come there. I'm going to have a surprise for you. I'm like, all right. I fucking show up there and I'm sitting there in the ring and I'm waiting. The fucking door to the gym opens. Here comes Goodhart with fucking Paul Orndorff. I'm like, okay. He's like, so I get in the fucking ring with Paul. We lock up. We're doing reversals on this. Orndorff goes to fucking hip toss me. He hip tosses me. I take the fucking bump and I'm looking up at fucking Mr. Wonderful. He's like, boy, you know what your problem is? You're too fucking fat. And he fucking got out of the ring. Meanwhile, at that point, Nature Boy Buddy Landell had come into the room. And fucking Orndorff fucking gets out of the ring and goes at it and goes into the gym and go do his workout. Landell hops up and gets in the ring with me. He's like, brother, fuck him. Don't fucking worry about him. He's an asshole. Fucking Buddy now locks up with me. And Buddy fucking starts working a match with me. And fucking works with me. And Buddy turns around. He said, Joel, he goes, I'll be his first fucking match. Let him fucking work. Joel was like, no. I'm not going to fucking do that. But at that point, they fucking booked my first match. We got my fucking gimmick in order as a Hell Rider tag team. We booked the first match. It was supposed to be, I think it was supposed to be Valentine's Day, 92. I had the tickets for fucking almost 30 years that I had saved. That the show never happened because Joel, closed up and folded up shop a month before. But Joel was that first father figure to me. He had my back from fucking day one. He always believed in me. He never fucking gave up on me. And when I started promoting, Joel went into hiding after he closed up TWA. I tracked his fucking ass down. And I used to call him on the down low and fucking, get advice to him about promoting and booking and stuff like that. He always was in touch with me. He always stuck by me. And that's why now, 30 plus years later, we're tighter than ever. And I put myself on a mission and a fucking campaign to get a banner raised in the ECW arena, the 2300 arena. There's a lot of names hanging up there. And those people deserve it. But you know what? There's 5 other names that fucking deserve it too. Because if it was not for these 5 fucking guys, look, you're getting me pissed and I'm getting hot now. If it wasn't for these 5 fucking guys, that fucking arena would not happen. ECW would not happen. Fucking WWE Attitude Era would not happen. 5 guys laid the foundation. They laid the groundwork for what became hardcore wrestling, ECW, and all these other fucking people doing stupid death matches and beating each other with light bulbs and whatever the fuck else they use. I don't understand it. Sorry. No offense to you deathmatch people. I'm just a fucking old school dude. But I'm going to say this. A banner needs raised for Joel Goodhart, Johnny Hotbody, Tony Stetson, DC Drake, and the late fucking Larry Winters. Because those 5 guys, they were doing barbed wire. They were bleeding all over Philadelphia, Delaware, New Jersey. They were fucking throwing each other off balconies before New Jack was doing it. They were doing all this shit. And you know what? They didn't have TV. The video quality was shit back then. We didn't have the internet. There wasn't fucking 100 people in a crowd with phones to take pictures or do videos to put up on TikTok to prove this shit. These guys were trendsetters before everybody else, and it's time they get their fucking respect paid. They taught me respect. They've stuck by me for 30 plus years. They beat respect into me. Well, now it's time for me to beat respect into everybody else because these fucking guys deserve it.
Yes.
How did you become a Dudley?
Oh, real quick too.
Go
There's
ahead.
there's a petition that I started on change.org. Just look, raise the banner, Bay Ragni, and sign the petition because I've talked to the 2300 Arena after months of trying to get in touch with somebody. We've made a deal. If I can get 1,000 signatures on this petition, they said they will raise a banner for me. As of right now, we have 434. People like Steve Carino have signed it. Joel Gertner, Mike Johnson from PW Insider has signed it. I need fucking 500 and 64 more or whatever, 54 more. Sign the fucking petition or I'm coming to your house and I'm putting you through a fucking table. Next.
Oh, definitely signing it.
Okay.
So
what was the question?
how did you become a Dudley?
I might not sign just so I can get put through a table by you.
Either way, you'll end up signing. So let's do it.
Let's do it.
I'll be up in Delco next week. Come on. Okay, so the whole Dudley thing, it's funny because when I was let go initially from Eddie Gilbert, I was so angry and bitter I stopped watching ECW. But then, a year and a half later, after the whole throwing down of the NWA belt and everything, you couldn't not watch. There was such a buzz going. So I started watching again. I was like, holy shit, this is absolutely groundbreaking and amazing shit that's going on. So I was in tune with what was going back on. And in, I guess it was like early to mid 95, they came out with the Dudley gimmick. They came out with, it was Dudley, Big Dick, and Little Snot Dudley. And I instantly said to myself, holy shit, I look like a fucking Dudley. It was like unbelievable. So I had gone through wrestling school with Stevie Richards. And literally like 2 weeks after the Dudley gimmick debuted, I think, it was right after they debuted on TV, Little Snot Dudley was in a car accident. So there was an opening. Richards calls me up. He goes, hey, I don't know if you've been watching or saw, but we have this Dudley gimmick. I said, I would fit perfect. He said, I thought the same thing. He's like, come and at the time before the Travel Lodge, ECW would, after the arena shows or the weekend shows, they would hang at the Philly Marriott, Airport Marriott. So he's like, come down to the Marriott and I'll introduce you to Paul. I said, okay. I go to the Marriott. I'm in the lobby. I'm talking to Richards. Paul walks in to the lobby and he sees us and he comes right over and he goes, oh my God, another fucking Dudley. And Richards is like, this is the dude I was telling you about. He's like, what do you want your name to be? And I always wanted to do a pretty boy gimmick. I wanted to do like a gorgeous Jimmy Garvin gimmick. And I was like, Studley Dudley. He's like, never going to happen. I said, okay. I don't know. He's like, Chubby. He's like, you're Chubby Dudley. Come back next week with a tie-dye and bring food. I'm like, all right. And that's how it started.
So you mentioned the Econo Lodge. Without getting anyone in trouble, can you tell us any crazy stories of something that's happened at the Econo Lodge? And I've heard some crazy...
At the Travel Lodge.
The Travel Lodge, yes.
Travel Lodge. The Cylinder of Sin.
Cylinder of Sin.
My DNA is all over that place. Oh geez. There was one night. The fuck was that band? It was Blind Melon. Was that the B Video Girl?
I think so. Yes.
Yeah. Blind Melon was playing a show, I don't know, maybe the Trocadero or something in Philly, the same night as we were doing an arena show. And they were staying at the Travelodge. So we were like fucking partying with Blind Melon. I mean, it was like balls to the walls partying, fucking just debauchery, craziness. It was true. I mean, it was just sex, drugs, and rock and roll. I mean, it was like everything I had dreamed about, wanting to be a rock star of the 80s, was now happening in the wrestling business in the 90s in my life. And it was just, we were going just, it was just absolute crazy. And then like 2 weeks later, the fucking singer fucking dies of a heroin overdose. And you're like, holy shit. Like I was just with this fucking dude. It was so scary.
Yeah, because you hear a lot of craziness that happened there, but that never gets talked about in any of the creative ECWs. But like I heard stories about like Mick Foley when he was in the ECW, he was trying to take his family to breakfast one morning, and some of the locker room was passed out, drunk, naked in the middle of the hallway, and he couldn't take his family outside because they were laying in the hallway naked.
Well, here's the thing. When we would do those arena tapings, we would also do all the promos for TV now for the next 3 weeks. So we would literally, you get done the arena show at 11, 12 o'clock, and immediately we would start taping the fucking promos. Well, we would start at the arena, and then they would end up at a certain point being like, all right, let's fucking move over to the Travelodge. And Paul would have like an open room upstairs, the top floor of the Travelodge. And we would have to, I mean, there was times I remember waiting until 7, 8 o'clock the next morning to shoot our promos. And we're just fucking up all night partying. Just the fucking, God knows what everybody was doing. And Paul, I remember Paul saying, I don't give a fuck what you guys are doing, but when it comes time for you to do your promos, you better be fucking ready to do it. If not, you're fucking out.
And I don't mean to steal all the questions here, but now that we're on the name of Paul, I had the honor of interviewing Ty Gordon earlier this year.
Nice.
And one of the questions we asked was about the infamous Paul Heyman fibbing and how much of that is legit. And the story that he was telling us was Paul Heyman could talk the shirt off your back, tell you your shirt was red and it's really green, and you would believe him. Yeah. How bad was that really?
See, I didn't have those experiences because my dealings with Paul were very limited. So it wasn't like, Todd, who's on a consistent basis, they're business partners and they're dealing with everything. I would show up and be in his presence for a few hours during a show, but my actual time with him was maybe 3 minutes at a shot. Whether we were either we were getting our instructions for what he wanted for the match, or afterwards shooting the promos. So I had no, I've heard many stories of that stuff. As a matter of fact, I just started doing the audio version of Todd's book. He's been, me and Todd have reconnected over the last few months, and he's been begging me to fucking do it. So I just started because like I said, I'm coming up there next week, and I'm actually I have a little get together set with Todd. So he's like, you better fucking read my book, and we're going to compare notes. So I literally, I have right here, my notebook here that I've been writing my notes down, and I've only got through the first 3 chapters. But if you have not read it or listened to it, just the first 3 chapters alone, I am legit. I mean, fucking legit, laughing out loud hysterically.
Yeah, that book is incredible. Like the spots where he's talking about the infamous cell phone recording, or at that point it was just like a regular phone recording of Todd trying to cause a mutiny in the locker room, and here it ultimately comes out that it was all fake and all made up. Like that's all in the book, and that's pretty cool to hear and stuff.
See, and all all that stuff happened like after I left. So it's funny. Like I wasn't there for that. I heard tidbits here and there, rumblings, but I didn't know what was going on. And at that point, I really didn't even care what was going on.
I want to bring on another guest for this segment.
Shit's about to get real.
Hello, Frank. Hello? Oh, his mic's muted.
See, that's what happens when you keep me waiting and I start drinking moonshine.
Yeah, my man.
Did you guys know that they actually sell moonshine stills at Home Depot now?
No.
Yeah.
What?
Yes, you will have a batch when you come down next week.
Oh shit.
Uh,
In 30 plus years I've known Frank, I've really have, early on in our days of just starting to hang out, we would drink a little bit, but I never really actually sat and drank with Frank.
Problem is whenever I really drank, it usually ended up with me in some kind of trouble. So, and worst part was one time I fell asleep in Southwest Philly and woke up in Westchester. I don't even know whose house I was in.
I'm not going to say a word.
So I kind of limit the drinking. I drink casually, but when I get drunk, I just got in too much trouble.
I drink casually too. I just drink casually every night.
So in the early
thanks
days,
for having me on, guys.
you're welcome. In the early days of Law, Bay, you were a producer and booker. In the later years, when Law made a comeback after years of a hiatus, you made it to commentary. Please explain both roles, and did you enjoy them? And Frank,
I fucking hated it.
You are or were owner of Liberty All-Star Wrestling?
Yes.
You still are?
I sold it. I sold it in the beginning of 2020 before the pandemic.
I'm going to go off now. Let me go off. Listen to this shit. These motherfuckers. Frank, I love you to death. Frank was my original partner with Lucky Larry. Frank sold his piece of the pie back in the 90s, right? Walks away, gets a fucking payday. 30 years later, 25 years later, he comes to me and goes, hey, I'm going to start promoting shows again. Can I use the Liberty name? Sure, Frank. Go ahead. Use the Liberty name. Starts doing it. Does a tremendous fucking job. Makes a little bit of money. Has fun. Puts on these great shows. And then sells the fucking business. He sold a business twice. And another person. And then, wait, did you sell it? You sold it to Keener initially in the 90s, right?
Yes.
And then Keener stole his fucking piece. All these fucking guys sold pieces and made money. And I'm like, I'm the one that lost $25,000, and I got fucking gods. These motherfuckers walk away with a payday, and I'm just like, come on, Frank, am I right?
Hey, man, I'm gonna sell it again, and I don't even own it.
Oh shit. It's so it's fucking hysterical when I think about that. It really is.
So, Frank, this next question is for you. What does Law mean to you?
Law, I'll tell you, it was It was originally because we were very frustrated with everything going on. Like Bay, I was in ECW in the early days. When Gilbert came in, he shit canned us all.
Yeah.
And not only us, but the TWA originals. So we Bay and I were never two people just to sit around and not do anything. So we wanted to create our own federation. We wanted to create something special. But we didn't have the capital.
Eddie Gilbert?
Yeah. Eddie just came in and shit canned everybody. He didn't give anybody a chance. He didn't even look. He didn't even watch the fucking matches. He the first show, he told me and Derek Domino to go out there and get the crowd hot in between the matches. So me and Domino,
I forgot all about that.
We're like, you know what? Let's go out there and leave it all out there. And we asked them. We're like, hey, how many? What's the time limit? They told us it was we had 12 minutes. Right before we go out, guys, you got 5 minutes. Domino and I looked at each other like, motherfucker. So we literally crammed a classic into like 5 minutes. I mean, we did everything. Crowd loved it.
Really awesome match. Yeah, I remember.
Crowd loved it. We got a fucking ovation. People were, and the people were shocked.
It's probably the best match of the fucking.
That's the worst part.
Yeah.
And people were like, "Holy shit! Who are these two?" Because we weren't on the main show. We were the dark match, and people were going nuts. We get in the back, and me and Domino are fucking dying because we basically just like left it all out there. The next thing I know is we're huffing and puffing. We're about to pass out. We walk up to Gilbert and we're like, how'd we do? How'd we do, sir? I don't know. I didn't watch it. Like, you fucking prick. At least lie to me. And he goes, oh, the crowd sounded like they were into it. And that was it. The next show we showed up and he had me and Domino doing security. So, again, I wasn't the greatest in the world. I never claimed to be. My talent was in my talking. But when someone goes out there,
I want to give Frank a lot of props right there. And Frank, I said to Frank, since the days we started promoting, I thought he was probably one of the best fucking managers the business never saw. He was fucking unbelievable and an amazing fucking talker, and he deserved. I always felt that was his true calling, because he's a little shorter, and I always thought that.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. And like I said, we when someone goes out there and leaves it all on the line like we did, I just like casually, hey, I didn't even watch it, So that's basically out of that, we started Law. Bay and I and Lucky Larry. We put our minds together. We figured out how to run a show, which was funny because Bay never mentions this, but literally we were the first federation to come up with a way to run a show without having an actual wrestling license. And we kind of unfortunately, we opened the door for every shit show that's out there now. I'm sorry.
Frank used to fucking holler at me. He's like, don't fucking tell nobody nothing. He goes, they're going to fucking want to do what we're doing. He's like, just keep everything a secret. Keep everything to yourself.
Yeah, but Yappy McYappington wanted to be everybody's fucking friend.
Yeah. And next thing you know, all these fucking strangers off the street are running fucking indie shows for a week or two.
Yeah, but Liberty was our baby, and when I had the chance in 2015 to start it up, can you get that off the screen? I can't fucking see myself. Thank you.
Hey, put that back up. Put that back up.
I'm trying to cut a promo, and this guy's fucking putting his picture up, trying to get himself over. Fucking jabroni. And when I had a chance to restart it in 2015, I did, and I actually wanted to do something different because everybody was doing the garbage wrestling, everybody was doing the hardcore, and I said, you know what, man, I want something that people can bring their families out to and have a good time. And literally, we were packing the place every time, and there was no names. I didn't bring in one name the entire time. I didn't. I used all local talent, and I came up with a novel concept. I started paying them, and the guys were like really, and they were really grateful. I mean, we had a loyal, and I would scout guys, and Bay will tell you, I was like just going crazy with scouting guys. I'd watch like videos on them. Like that was a prerequisite. You had to send me 3 matches, no highlight reels. And we got a lot of guys.
That was always a smart thing. Like Frank would always, a big thing was like, don't send me a highlight reel because anybody can just fucking edit, their high spots together. He was always, I want to see full matches.
Because I wanted to see crowd reaction. Because sometimes a guy, because I'll tell you, this will kind of go into what Bay and I are doing next weekend with ECWA. Sometimes a guy may have a different vision of himself, and it's not the correct vision. And I would see some of these guys, like take, for example, Lucky Larry's son, David Reed. David wanted to be this. I said, no. I got what you're going to do. And it clicked. So I wanted to see what they had. And if somebody was open, you could literally tweak a gimmick just a little bit and get somebody so over. And that was one of the things we were getting. I required everyone to have gear. There was no jeans, no sneakers. You had to have actually wrestling gear.
Can I ask a question? As I watch the current product of WWE, how the fuck does more than 50% of that locker room wearing Nike sneakers in the ring? I am mind fucking blown. I don't understand it.
My reaction to that was whenever I'd see somebody wearing sneakers, I'd walk up to them, especially when cell phones were finally a thing, and I'd show them the video of Sid Vicious' leg snapping. I said, remember, the only thing that held that friggin' ankle in place was that boot. And it used to drive me nuts because when Bay and I were brought up in wrestling, you were taught to respect it. If you looked like a guy on the street, no one wanted to come see you. They wanted to come see you because you look like someone who can handle yourself. Like one of the golden rules back in the day of wrestling was that don't get into a fight in like any local establishments, because if you do, you have to win. And if you don't, guess what? You're not going to get used, because now everyone knew, especially down south, everyone knew you got beat. Well, now they all think they can beat you. Why are they going to pay money to watch you?
That's why, luckily, I went out to the bars with Harley Lewis.
And I used to have Jim Proper as my backup. Yeah, we actually caused a riot once in Delaware, to where we actually thought the cops were coming for us. So we snuck out of Delaware in the back of someone's car. We didn't know the cops were actually there to get us out of Delaware safely.
My computer screen is fucking jacked up and it goes like wavy and I can't read the thing. I just saw there's a whole shit ton of comments.
It's because you've been drinking too much. The screen's fine. The screen's steady, man.
I was hoping the drinking would level it out.
But yeah, I mean, Liberty was a pride. I mean, unfortunately, I couldn't dedicate as much time to it as I wanted to, and it was basically a one-man. Bay will tell you it was a one-man show,
Yeah.
and I was killing myself to pack that place every week because we were running steady at a firehouse in Briarcliff, and you know, I just decided let me sell it because I didn't want to put out a half-ass product, and I didn't want to put out a product that I couldn't dedicate because my Christmas stuff unfortunately started to take priority. Hey, Will, turn your mic on. Why I got to tell you that?
Yeah, right.
Willie Tanner, you went silent?
Where
What
did our
does
other boy
EC
go?
He had a family emergency.
Oh shit. Okay. I
Yeah.
thought he got
Oh,
locked in
okay.
the bathroom.
Frank, what does ECWA mean to you?
That's an interesting question because I had an interesting relationship with ECWA.
I can't wait to hear this answer.
They got me in, and unfortunately, I was young and dumb and full of myself when I got into ECWA because basically I was a rookie. It was my first year. In hindsight, I think Jim Kettner saw more in me than I saw in myself because he knew exactly what I should be doing because I wanted to come in and be the next Cactus Jack. And, I'm jumping off of shit that I had no business jumping off of doing this. And he goes, you know what? You can talk. Let me put you in a tag team. I didn't want to be in a tag team because, again, I didn't want to share the spotlight. But he put me in a tag team with a veteran by the name of Donnie Love. Guy was around for a long time. He was kind of like my Dennis Condrey. And then they put me with Barry Casino, who I learned a lot from as a manager. Barry was probably one of the best managers on the East Coast that no one saw.
Such a great guy.
And within a few months, we were the ECWA tag champs for the vacated title. And, like I said, when you're young and you got people in your ear, the next thing I know is I believed I was actually that friggin' good. And, that meant something, Well, I mean, it did mean something because you were a tag champ. But in my head, I was bigger than I think I should have been. And I kind of I would say burned a bridge that I've thankfully repaired since then. But to be honest with you though, that propelled me to other things because it was the start of my love of tag team wrestling. And as Bay will tell you, I went on to do pretty well in tag teams. 15 tag team championships over the years. At one point in the East Coast area, myself and my partner, Brad Worrell, as Hollywood Inc., with the hotshot Bay Ragni as our third Freebird. At one point, we had 5 different championships at the same time. So like 5 federations had, and this all stems back to like the lessons that I learned in ECW. People said to me, would you change anything? I never say that because then I wouldn't have ended up where I am. I learned a lot. I learned humility finally, which if I didn't, I would have been just on a horrible path. Because Bay will tell you, Bay would always talk to me and I would be like, shut up, I know what I'm doing. Up to the famous one-try moonsault.
There's a picture somewhere. It's funny when Frank said he would try to like jump off things. He would always say, he's like, I don't have the height. I don't have this. He's like, I got to do a moonsault. I got to do this. I got to do that. And we used to have when we started Liberty All Star Wrestling, we also started a wrestling school. We bought Jim Kettner's original ring that he had when he got his new ring built, which they still use today. You'll see next weekend. And we opened a wrestling school down right at the corner of McDade Boulevard and Springfield Road. And there was a gym there. And right next door, I don't know if it's still there, but right next door was a Dunkin' Donuts. And there's actually a somebody, I don't know who took the picture, but somebody snapped a picture. I think it was Tom Robinson. Somebody snapped a picture of Frank attempting the moonsault, and you see Frank in midair doing the fucking moonsault. But he fucking boom, right down on his fucking head. Fucking I remember we all were just fucking hysterical.
Well,
he never tried it again.
Well, wait. Stop. You weren't hysterical because you all thought I broke my neck first.
Well, yeah, but once we knew you didn't break your neck, we were laughing.
And I'm laying there upside down, and the place got dead quiet. And once I realized I was okay, because them guys were like, they didn't know if I was dead. All I did was, stupid is as fucking stupid does. And then you just heard Bay lose it. And that was the last time I attempted.
And there was a picture of you laying on the ring apron afterwards, right? There was a picture in midair, and then there was a picture of him laying on the ring apron.
And I never did it again.
No.
But ECWA, I mean, it was a great time, man. It was very special. And honestly, I didn't know how anybody was going to feel about me coming back for this event. Bay and Ooh La La sent me the form. And I said, you know what, man, I'd love to just, if anything, just to see my old friends and to see my old partner who I haven't seen in, almost 30 years.
We're going to get into that in the next segment.
Yeah. And, they thankfully are welcoming me back. And, I may be mush.
It's been over 30 years, I think. Wasn't it like, was it?
Yeah. I think we won the tag.
Showing your age now, guys.
Yeah, I think we won the tag straps in 90. I think we won the tag straps in 94, myself and Donnie.
Okay.
And I'll be honest, man, it means a lot to me that I'm going back. And honestly, now that I look back on it with the perspective that I had, I think Jim Kettner saw, like Bay said, Joel saw a lot in him. I think Jim saw in me what others didn't. And then it took me a few years to finally see it in myself. And when I did, I kind of took what I learned and ran with it. And, I had a lot of successful gimmicks just from what I learned there and learning not to take myself so seriously.
Bay, same question for you. What does ECWA mean to you?
ECWA was such a it was a weird and amazing time for me because I was coming out of the ECW thing, and when I was approached by Kettner, I was doing the Hell Rider tag team, and I was trying to pitch the Hell Rider tag team to Kettner, and he did not want my partner. He just wanted me. And I felt very, very bad. I felt like I was screwing my partner over.
Understandable.
Yeah. So I ended up, talking with Jim, and Jim explained to me the plan he had. And this is what it's funny because, and I've been saying this a lot in interviews, lately over the last year. I feel Jim Kettner was so ahead of his time. Because what he was doing 30 years ago in independent wrestling is what WWE does today. So Jim would literally lay out his storyline that he wanted to do for his programs, for his workers. And he would lay that the way he would want that storyline to go throughout each show. This way he knew exactly. And he would book a year of shows in advance. Yeah. So he knew exactly how he was doing it. And every match of his shows was scripted. And I'm not talking about the finish. I'm talking every fucking move, every punch, every kick, everything in that match was completely scripted. So, like when me and Frank go and start working for Kettner, his whole roster, except for the only one who was not, who he was working as Irish Mickey at the time, who became Mr. Ooh La La, who was trained at a real school. Everybody else was trained by Jim Kettner in Jim Kettner's apartment. Jim Kettner had the second bedroom in his apartment where he had foam cushions lined the floor, and that was his training room. And the guys would go there, and he would teach people how to wrestle. And he would have, like, leading up to the show, you would go there like 1 or 2 times leading up to the show, and he'd hand you your script, and you would do walkthroughs of the matches. This way you had it down with your opponent. So it was very weird because, me and Frank are coming from the opposite way where you talk out your opening and talk out your finish, and everything else in the middle is all just off the fucking skin of your teeth. So we were like, it was kind of like a whole weird situation, but it's crazy because I think about it now and I'm like, fucking Jim was 30 years ahead of his time. And this is like what WWE does now, but between the promos, and you can just watch the matches in WWE. Like, I sit and watch them. I'm like, you can tell these matches are completely scripted out and gone over and over and over and over. It's you can just tell. So, and so I look at that and I'm just like, wow, it was so groundbreaking, but yet in a weird way, it taught me so much about, again, working a match. And also, too, the very first LAW show that we did in November of 94, Jim Kettner, if it was not for Jim Kettner, that show never would have happened. Because Jim helped us with, he gave us a sweet deal on a ring rental. He really, all of the questions that we needed answered and directions and everything, he was there. He helped us. And also, too, he never let his guys work independent promotions. He allowed his top 2 guys to work our show, and that was Boogie Woogie Brown, who he put me in a year-long feud with Boogie Woogie Brown. So he let Boogie Woogie Brown work the very first LAW show against Lance Diamond, who ended up becoming Simon Diamond in ECW. Another interesting tidbit too. It's funny because LAW was groundbreaking in so many ways, because 2 weeks before Raven became Raven at the first LAW show, our main event was Scotty Flamingo, fresh out of WWE as Johnny Polo. We had Scotty Flamingo in the main event. 2 weeks later, he's Raven in ECW. We had, on that same show, Lance Diamond, who became Simon Diamond in ECW. Our second LAW show was the debut of Francine, that she went through the ECW school and they wouldn't use her. And Cujo came to us begging us to put her on because she wanted to work, and we gave her first shot. And then ECW finds a spot for her. Also, PG-13. The first people in the Philadelphia area to use PG-13 was LAW.
And you also forget that we came up with the Stevie Richards gimmick before ECW debuted it. Because remember, we always wondered if Richards, because remember we pitched it to him?
Yeah.
And we actually pitched the Raven gimmick to Stevie Richards before it debuted on ECW. So we were always like, I wonder if he mentioned it to anyone. You know, we probably not, but it was just funny because we came up with it. I mean, and we had people on the show. We had Brian Kendricks before. And
There was others too. Thomas Rodman we trained became Nate Hatred in CZW. He went through our wrestling school. J.R. Ryder, who ended up doing a lot of ECWA and WWE work. You know, it was just a lot of our guys ended up doing amazing things.
You both are being honored at ECWA Night of Legends reunion night, August 3rd, 3 p.m. at the Boys and Girls Club in Newark, Delaware. That's 109 Glassgap Drive.
Are you going to be there?
I will be there.
Is L.A. Willie going to be there?
Not sure.
To be
Ellie
determined.
Willie?
To be determined.
Willie, I will
What kind of
slap
answer
the
is that?
Yeah,
All
I'm
right,
gonna
I'll-
slap the snot out of you. There's a handsome fella. Holy
that
shit!
guy?
Look at me now. Unfortunately, the hair that was on the back of the head is now on the front.
Yeah, it went from his back to his face.
How
Yeah,
about that?
I'm trying to actually, like you can see, I lost that beautiful locks. So what I'm doing is I'm growing it so I can all flip it over and it look like I have a full head of hair again.
And the image says you will be in action.
Yeah, I don't know what the hell I was thinking.
He
on that.
will, not me. My action is just walking in the building.
My last match was 2019 for LAW,
I was there, I think.
Great match.
and
That was your
I
best
s-
match.
Who was your opponent? Who was your opponent?
I was in a 6-man with Kid America and Adonis Valerio against David Reed, Bronze Star, and Hardy Hef.
Yes, I was there for that.
And so on the sheet that the ECWA sent you, it says, "Would you like to be just appearance, or would you like to be in action?" So of course, I'm sitting there like looking down at the gut, looking down at the knees. I want to be in action. And then literally I was like, what the frig did I just do? So I honestly, I been like going crazy with dieting, working out. I'll be honest, my health at Christmas time was the shits. I was 300 pounds. I couldn't walk up a flight of stairs. My weigh-in today, I am 235. I am doing 3-mile walks and a little bit of jogging. And I probably felt the best I felt in years. So I will be in the Boogie Woogie Brown Memorial Battle Royal. Side note, the last time I was in ECWA, Boogie Woogie Brown cut my hair off. So
Well, you
what
got-
better revenge than me winning the Battle Royal?
You got reasons why in winter.
Well, actually, I am promoting a more healthy lifestyle.
This is no gimmick. This is a lifestyle.
Well, I want to promote a healthier lifestyle. I want to promote a healthier Santa Claus. Because if anyone, if I can plug my Instagram and my TikTok, Santa
Absolutely.
Kringle.
Yes.
One thing I want to promote is positivity, and I want children to believe in themselves. And I don't want anybody body shaming anybody, but at the same point, I don't want those kids to go through the health issues that myself and Bay have. So like one of the videos I did last year was, instead of me eating cookies, I was eating celery. And I was explaining that this is, cookies are okay once in a while. So, so I'm hoping to be under 200 pounds by this Christmas and just maybe start a new trend and show people that, because we're life isn't final. We don't have an infinite number. It's we only have a set number of breaths, and why shorten them?
While we're still talking about ECWA, we got Bay's graphic here.
Oh, shit.
There he is.
Please come on out.
Come out and have a good time.
You know what? One thing about ECWA, it was probably the site of my greatest rib ever.
Hey, I paid you
Here
extra
we
for this.
go. Here we go.
I paid $400 for appearance and
So-
$100 extra for a rib.
What a lot of people may not know about me is I love. Bay'll tell you, I love ribbing people. I've done some wrestling ribs, everything from freezing people's car handle doors to just sending people out in battle royals before they were supposed to go out. But that poor man in the corner was probably the recipient of one of my best. And it was for ECWA. It was at the Cub Scout Hall. We get to this hall, and Bay, do you mind me telling this story?
No, not at all.
So we get to the hall, and Mr. Ragni has to use the men's room.
Well, let's preface it with before we got to the hall, we went and ate fucking Taco Bell. And I, at that point in time in my life, I was not like a person about like, if you want to call it Mexican, or I was not a Taco Bell person. I was not a spicy person. So he's like, come on, we'll get Taco Bell. It's cheap. I'm like, all right. So we get it, and I eat God knows how many freaking tacos, and I'm putting hot sauce on the shit. And we get to the building.
You forgot an important part.
Go ahead.
When I said you asked me about if I had Imodium, and I told you I did.
Oh yeah.
He's like, "Do you got Imodium in case my stomach gets upset?" I was like, "Yeah, man, I got Pepto, I got Imodium." I didn't have any of that. I just wanted to eat Taco Bell. Okay.
So we get to the building, and all of a sudden, my stomach's like, I'm like, oh no, please no. So I'm like, and I'm like, Frank, I gotta go to the bathroom. And I go into the bathroom, and there's stalls, cement stalls with no doors. No doors. Who makes bathrooms with no doors? So I'm like, oh, you fucking gotta be kidding me. So I'm like, Frank, watch the door for me, please. I don't need, fucking kids are running all around and all. I'm like, I please watch the door for me. He's like, okay. I'm in a stall, and all of a sudden I hear Frank holler out, hey, you want to see the Hell Rider take a shit? And he's letting fucking kids come in as I'm sitting on the hopper.
I did not say, do you want to see the Hell Rider take his shit?
Well, yeah.
What I said was, are you guys here for the wrestling? And there was like, I don't know, about 12, 13 boys. And they're like, yeah. And I was like, do you know who the Hell Rider is? Yeah. Would you like his autograph? Yeah. And I swung open the door. He's sitting on the toilet, and he looks up. And the worst part was they were asking him for his autograph.
Oh yeah,
he's sitting on the
yeah. They had the fucking coloring book with my I'm in the coloring book. Yeah. What's that last comment? I see Chris Fraley, my boy Chris Fraley, Black Man. Put that last comment up there. There's the coloring book. Come on, put my brother up there. Where's he at? What's he saying? No doors. Prison bathroom.
That's what it was. It was a prison bathroom. But the worst part was,
I don't even know. Is that how it is? Fucking shit.
I got to tell you, you had to see the look on his face, because it looked like the crap just went back up, because his eyes were like, he's like this, and he looks up and goes.
That show was, I was so off that show, because it was like I like half shitted. I still had to go, and this motherfucker's letting kids in the bed. I was so off Now here's another ECW one. This was my own doing. Like back then in the day of the 90s, I don't know. I went through a phase where I didn't wear underwear. I used to free ball it, right? And I used to just wear Zubaz.
Not recommended in wrestling.
Yeah, well, but I would, if I was wrestling, I'd have underwear on under my tights. So I wasn't even fucking thinking. I must have been running late or something, and I run out of the house with my bag and everything and rush to the show. And I get to the building, and I'm like, oh my God, I don't have no underwear. I forgot my fucking underwear. I'm like, fuck. So now I'm like, I gotta go buy underwear. So I'm like running into like Walgreens. I'm running into Pathmark looking for fucking. I'm like, what do I do? Buy Depends? Like, what do I do? But I ended up just freeballing it in the match, and I felt so bad because my tights. I knew my fucking tights had a hole in the crotch, so like my balls were like hanging out and shit. Yeah, there he is on the hopper. Look at that.
Hilarious.
And the best thing of those pictures, Glenn Osborne drew all those.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so that was probably my greatest wrestling rib, I think, ever. I mean, I've done enough to like fill a book and probably be sued 20 times over. But that was just for creativity reasons. I think that was the best. And the fact that man's still friends with me is amazing in itself.
I fucking love that guy. I fucking hate him, but I love him.
Hey,
Oh.
at least you didn't have to live with me like poor Greg Spitz.
Yeah, I wouldn't have done that. That'd have been too much.
Marvelous ones. Shout out to the marvelous ones.
Yeah, that poor guy. I would go upstairs and I'd hear he'd have people in the apartment. So I'd take off my pants in the hallway and I'd tuck my dress shirt into my underwear.
Yeah.
And I would just open the door and come walking through the apartment. Hey, everybody, and just walk right by. And he would just look, and he'd have like girls up there or something. He's like, that's my roommate.
Hey, but do they not have like the best intro music, wrestling music in Delco or in
And their 20-minute entrance?
It is great. Well, Frank, I want to thank you for your time.
Oh, it's my pleasure, man. Thank you.
Thank you, Frank.
And like I said, everybody, August 3rd, ECWA, Newark, Delaware. The reunion of the Hell Rider. And of course, for the first time in 30 years, the Hollywood Hunks are back. Delectable Danny Desire and Dazzling Donnie Love. The divorce rate in Delaware is going to go through the roof because we're still the damn two prettiest guys in Delaware because we have all our teeth.
Woo!
I got your $500 cash. Thank you.
Yeah, you better give it to me if you know what's good for you, boy.
Give it to you. $500.
And I will be getting with you after all this is said and done about what we talked about with the refereeing.
Yes. Thank you.
I didn't forget you.
It's been hot.
And I got more on my plate than a fat man at an all-you-can-eat buffet. So,
thank you, Frank. I appreciate you.
Frank.
Hey, I will talk to you, my friend. Go ahead, take go to the bathroom at this show in a couple weeks to see what I do to you. I'll make you the greatest rib part 2.
I will say though, no, seriously, I fucking love you, Frank. But that show that night, ECWA, actually I was talking to Ryan last night. There's a lot of tickets, already sold.
Yes.
Like he told me the number, and I was like, oh shit. There's going to be so many people there from the whole history of ECWA. It's going to be such an amazing, emotional night.
All 3 incarnations.
Here's a match here.
Yeah,
Christopher Daniels.
I'm loving that Christopher Daniels is going to be. I haven't seen that dude in. It's funny. I booked him twice on shows, and both times the shows got canceled. And the one time he actually ended up being here, and he there when I was still in Delco, and I had a wrestling seminar booked with him and everything got fucking fucked up, and I still had to pay him, but he slept at my house too. The funny thing was, he slept at my house, and there was a Kettner show that weekend, and I had to also pick up AJ Styles and Brian Danielson, or whatever his name is, Brian Daniel, whichever it is. And I took them to work out, the gym. They came to my house, ate pizza, we hung out for the whole fucking day. And then Chris Daniels spent the night at my house. Yeah.
Well, the one show you can't. It was 9/11. You can't really.
Shit happens.
You can't be faulted for that, Bay.
Man.
I'm going to show you this picture before you go, Frank.
That's a great picture. Look at that. And look, Kathy got squeezed in there.
Yes, yes.
That was the last time he was in town.
No,
that's when he left. That's when he left.
Yeah, that was my going away party.
Fucking remember.
Yeah.
We'll have to get another. We'll have to do another one of those pictures next Friday night.
Yeah, we will.
Because I think I'm pretty sure Kathy and Joe will be there too.
And Will, if I don't know if I'll be there Friday, but you'll see me Saturday, and you can get a picture, $5.
I already gave you $500 for this podcast.
I want to know how this is what I mean. He fucking sells LEW 2 times over. He gets paid to come on here, and what do I get?
You get to be in my presence. That alone should be.
Man.
In the words of Scott Steiner, get that fat little bastard away from me. He's costing me money. Hey, when you get heat because you're selling more gimmick than someone, you know you're doing something right.
There you go.
There you go.
What's LA Willie got to say? LA Willie's pretty quiet over there.
Yeah, Willie.
I'm just taking it all in.
You're not supposed to take it the frig in. You're supposed to say. See, the whole purpose of a podcast is to talk. Cut a promo, Willie.
Me cut a promo, yeah.
I want to know what's the LA stand for.
Lost adult.
Lost adult.
I could see, Willie. I don't even know you, and I could come up with something better.
No, I'm sure you can. You've been in the business longer than I have.
Oh, so what do you call me, old? You son of a bitch!
Oh.
I will put you
Frank,
in a hammerlock.
Just take note of the color of your beard and look at the color of his beard.
Well, fuck, man. If I had Grecian formula in the bathroom, my beard be that color too. Come on, he's got Just for Men hanging out in his back pocket. LA. And remember, you can rip on this beard all you want, but this beard makes money.
There you go.
I bow down to you.
Thank you, Frank.
Thank you,
Only
Frank.
guy in wrestling that learned how to make money by sitting on my ass, being fat, and eating cookies.
Now, if you could just do that year round.
Where those come from?
What the fuck was that?
I saw it twice now. How do you do that?
Santa Claus. I'm magical.
That's awesome. Yes,
No
you
charge
are.
for the magic.
Look,
Thank you.
That.
Hey, $500 is enough.
I get no fucking emojis. I get no cash. What the fuck with me?
All right, guys. Thank you again, man. This was fun. I can't wait to see everybody. August 3rd. It's going to be a good time. Bring your ECWA coloring books. I will sign it for a nominal fee. And hey, for $10, I'll even film a video for your phone for, like a cameo. I'll insult your wife. I'll insult your father. I'll insult your mother. I'll insult your kids.
I'll insult my ex-wife for you.
Oh.
The views expressed by Bay Ragni are Bay Ragni's and Bay Ragni's alone. They do not necessarily express the Three Wills of Wrestling podcast.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Oh, shit.
I'm not crossing that line. That's like opening one of the 7 gates of hell.
Yeah, I'm sure somehow I'll get a fucking message or something.
All right. Thank you, Frank. Have a good night.
Thank you, Frank.
All right, man.
Take care, brother.
Take care. That
All
was
right.
funny.
Let's start right through this. Let's talk about your phone call you received from Taz.
Oh, I forgot all about that fucker.
How could you?
Yeah, right. I forgot all about we were going to talk about that. All right, so in '96, so when I actually ended up leaving ECW a second time, and I left because I when I went back as a Dudley, I was under the impression I was going to wrestle. But I was never let wrestle. They let me wrestle one time in an opening match as a fill-in. And they teamed me up with somebody else, not even like part of the Dudleys. I was out there with somebody else. So when Spike came in, Spike's
Runt
first
Dudley
night.
time.
What's that?
Runt Dudley, right? Runt.
No, I think it was Spike.
No, it was Spike. It was Spike.
I thought his original name was Runt.
No, he was like the runt of the family. They called him.
Okay.
Yeah. So, like his first night, like he had a match, and I was like, oh, well, that's kind of fucked up. I've been here for over a year. And then we do like the next round of shows, and he's like fucking got matches every show. And I'm like, wow, that's fucked. And then like when I start talking with him and getting to know him, and I'm finding out like, yeah, I'm from California, and they're flying me in and putting me up. I'm like, I fucking live 15 minutes down the road. They're flying you in and putting you up. I was like, motherfucker. I'm like, I'm not even getting paid. I'm like, this is fucked. So I fucking quit and I left. And meanwhile, through the whole time for the 2-3 years before this, I had become very, very good close friends with Dennis Carluzzo. I used to literally, me and Frank, we would go and sit with Dennis at least 2, sometimes 3, 4 nights a week down at the Oregon Diner or meet a diner in Jersey and just go sit and eat and bullshit and talk wrestling and promote how we're going to fucking promote shows and all this shit. And Dennis used to beg me constantly, fuck them guys, come work for me, I'll pay you. And I was like, no, it's ECW. Early on, though, I was only there a few months. I fucking went. I did go and work for Dennis. And it was funny because I walked in the locker room and Sabu was there. And I looked at Sabu and I'm like, what are you doing here? He's like, what are you doing here? I'm like, I'm getting paid. He's like, so am I. And he had a phenomenal match that night with Devin Storm. But I went right back to ECW the next weekend. But I had enough. I was like, I'm taking chair shots, going through tables. I'm getting super bombed. I'm doing this. I'm doing everything that's asked for me. And I'm not being given a chance. So I was like, I'm done. Having the perks was this. I was on TV almost every week, which was phenomenal. I'm now getting magazine coverage every month. I was getting amazing perks after shows by the lovely people, the women and whoever else at the Travelodge. Things were amazing, but I was unfulfilled as a wrestler. So I was done and I quit and I went and worked for Dennis. And after that first show I worked for Dennis, I worked Jason Knight. That following Monday or Tuesday, Taz called me at my job. I was delivering pizzas. I was still living in Upper Darby at the time. Taz called me at the pizza shop in Upper Darby I worked at And I answer the phone, DNC Pizza, and they're like, he's like, yeah, Bay Ragni. I'm like, yeah, this is me. He's like, it's Taz. I'm like, fuck is Taz calling me at my job at a pizza shop in Upper Darby for? And I'm like, yo, what's up? He's like, did you wrestle this weekend? I'm like, yeah. He's like, did you do our gimmick? I'm like, your gimmick? He's like, that's our gimmick. Don't you work any other shows doing our gimmick? If you do, I'm going to come and stretch your ass. And I was like, well, wait a minute. Like, it's kind of my gimmick. And you don't have it trademarked. I know that. But can I explain my side? And he was like, no, fuck you. I'm like, no. I said, I want to explain my side. I'm like, you guys didn't give me a chance. All I want was a chance. And I still want a chance. Why can't I have a chance? And he didn't want to hear it. He got all pissed off and threatened me again and hung up, and that was it.
All right, Bay. I have a very special video message for you. I wanted to play a lot earlier in the episode.
Oh, boy. I can't wait to see this.
But here we go.
And well, it is I, the lyrical miracle, the sexual, intellectual, the cunning linguist, and the quintessential stud muffin, Joel Gertner. And without any nickname, without any further ado, without any reason except sending love to my boy who's on the podcast today. I got word from the people at the podcast that they have as a special guest today, my boy, not me. Not the one who's been known to go by Studley Dudley, been called Studley Dudley by the women of Dudleyville. Not the one who has the dad bod rocking it since age 20 Dudley, and not pleasantly plump Dudley, but it takes one to know one. And this message goes out to my boy, my dude, Chubby Dudley. Have a great time today on the show. I know you will. And I just wanted to send love and a special shout out. Bay, you're the man. You're awesome. And without any further ado, ladies and gentlemen, my friend, Chubby Dudley.
You're going to make me fucking cry. I love that motherfucker. I fucking love Joel Gertner. I'm going to say, and I say this all the fucking time, that fucking guy, somebody explain to me, who did he piss off? Because he's one of the most talented fucking people that I don't understand why Vince McMahon never gave him a fucking contract and paid that motherfucker, because he is gold, wrestling fucking gold, and should be out there every goddamn week.
It should be.
Tony Khan, you want some fucking laughs? You want some direction? You want something? Joel Gertner.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Tim Ambler knows what's up.
Yeah, they're probably
Battleground
so better
Championship.
than
This one. He knows what's up, Tim.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. You got to send me that video. I want to fucking share that out. That was fucking awesome. I'll tell you off air, but I just got an email from Joel, 2 days ago. 2 days ago.
Yeah.
All right. You recently had a couple of multiple mini heart attacks a few months ago. How do you feel? How do you feel?
I feel fucking great. I do feel good. Feel very, 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 very good. I do like, and I'm going to say this, and I see right now as I'm looking at myself, I got to slow down on this. I'm drinking way too much. I have a goal. I'm kind of like, it's weird because I'm kind of like on a fucking little stretch right here because I'm coming up there. I know I'm going to be eating shitty now when I'm up there. I'll be drinking more. Once I get back. Yeah. So after my fucking vacation of going up there, it's time to really just cleanse, clean myself out, and get back. Because I lost a lot of weight when I was here. It's it's crazy. We need like the pandemic again, because we were paid to stay home. So I was like paid to work out. So I was working out 7 days a week, but I was still drinking, but I was eating healthy, working out. I was walking 2-3 miles a day, and I had lost like 125 pounds. Yeah, before I moved here. That was like a month before I moved here.
That was us
Outside.
going to the gym.
Going to the gym. Yeah. So, yeah, I got it. There's this stupid thing called work that just gets in the way of so much of my life. Working out, doing podcasts, and doing the stuff I should be doing. That, yeah. So, I got to figure an answer and a way to get back.
You will.
You will. Yeah. All right. So Bay, the term ECW original, what does that mean to you, and what does that constitute? Classified as a ECW original.
It's fun. That's a good question because I call myself the original ECW original because I was there in the original, whatever you want to call it, the original formation of ECW, and then I was there in the Extreme era. And not many people can say that. I think like myself and Sandman, maybe or JT Smith. I think that's it. That was part of the Extreme era. So when that term started coming out, the original or the ECW original, I mean, honestly, I was a little like salty because all the and again, no disrespect, I fucking love everybody that was through ECW, but I was like kind of offended by that because 99%, 98% were not there during those Eastern years. They weren't there before TV. They weren't there when we got TV. They weren't there the initial TV process. So I always thought to myself, they're not ECW originals. So I took a little offense to it. But then I asked somebody recently, it was like 6 months ago, I forget who, and they explained it to me. And then I understood and I got it. And then I was like, oh. And the term came from, I think it was somebody on my Chewing the Fat explained it to me. That when Vince started his version of ECW, that's when they all started that they were the ECW originals, because there was like this new crop of people saying ECW that really had no fucking ties to ECW. It was that shit product that Vince tried to pass off. And yeah, so ECW original, fucking deserved and earned. The original ECW original, that's me. As well as Hack and JT Smith, and I'm sure there's probably a couple others. Todd Gordon.
Hack is Sandman.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, the reason that I was asking about that ECW original comments, like going back to when you became a Dudley and, time had gone by before Bubba and Ray and, Devon and Spike joined, because when I started watching ECW, I think it was like when they were just beginning.
Okay.
So, I know not just myself, but there's probably like a lot of people when they talk about Dudleyville or think about the Dudley, mostly as Bubba and Devon.
Yeah.
Not too many people know.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's natural because, look, if it wasn't for Bubba and Devon, nobody would be fucking talking to me today. And I know that. I'll be the first to admit that. Those fucking guys who came into ECW, who became part of the Dudleys after I was already there, they took the ball that was given to them, and they fucking, not only did they get a touchdown, they scored a touchdown, they fucking hit a home run, they hit a grand slam, they scored a fucking goal, they hit 3-pointers, they did every fucking thing and then some with the opportunities they were given, and they deserve every fucking thing they've gotten because they've earned it. They fucking earned it. and they became, and it's actually kind of hard for me to say because when you hear the term the greatest tag team of all time, like most people will say the Road Warriors. To me, it was like the Midnight Express was like my favorite tag team of all time. But you gotta fucking say it's Bubba and Devon.
Yes.
What they did for this business, whether it was in ECW, whether it was in WWE, whether it was in TNA or wherever else they were in Japan or whatever, they fucking dominated and fucking worked amazing fucking matches.
Mm-hmm.
So I owe everything to them. So I thank them.
It's understandable. And a quick answer, how'd you really feel about the tie-dye shirts?
I fucking hated them. I never liked tie-dye. And the worst part is there's a guy here, Mark, who he does like a lot of the Comic-Cons in the Nashville area who I've hooked up with. And he's been giving me a lot of bookings. And I did a Comic-Con with him a month ago. And he's like, you got to start wearing the tie-dye. I'm like, please don't make me wear the fucking tie-dye. Please don't make me do it. Please. But he gave me 2 really good bookings coming up in September. And one, I mean, fucking Mike Tyson's there. They just announced the Nasty Boys that they just added, Jerry Lawler, all these amazing Pete Rose, all these baseball heroes that I grew up like idolizing are going to be there, and me. I'm like, oh my God, am I going to have to fucking put a tie-dye on? Like, what do I got to do here? So who knows? Stay tuned.
Right.
Yeah. There's a comment from section. Was it
Charmaine?
coincidental that you and the other Dudleys, such as Dances and Sign, sort of looked similar? Oh my God. That's something they looked or thought about make everyone really think you were family. That is a very good question.
People still to this day, me and Lou, even with short hair, you know, Lou's not as gray as I am, but even with short hair, me and Lou still could be fucking past as brothers.
Yes.
And
Lou,
the original Dudley, he also looked with the long hair. He looked very similar. The 3 of us looked very, very similar.
Yes.
I don't know what he looks like now, but me and Lou still look like brothers.
you
And
do
people
look like
still. I mean, people send me pictures a lot. They're like, "Oh, I saw this picture. I saw you on TV and this and that." I'm like, "Yeah, that's not me. That's fine guy."
Well, I got another good question.
Charmaine, she's got the questions.
Yes. Yes.
All right, you got to read it because my screen's jacked. When you were born in to be chubby.
LA, go ahead.
When you were brought into the Chubby and the other Dudleys that didn't do wrestlings have contact in the ring, whose idea was it to have you all come? Was the original vision for you to sign, dances, etc.?
All right, I'm trying to make sense of what she means here.
I think it was the original version.
So the
for you,
original
Sign,
version
and Dances.
I think their original plan was because Big Dick was injured at the time when they first started. He had I think it was his knee was like reconstructed. So Snot and Dudley were the original workers, and Big Dick was like the side man. But then when that changed, me and Dances, we started on the same night together. And that match that night was which I don't even know if that place is still there. I think it was called the Big Apple Theater out in Kennett Square. It was out on Route 1. But it was Dances with Dudley and Dudley against the Steiner brothers.
Are you talking about the nightclub? The nightclub was on Route 1.
Yeah, it was like a dinner.
Pulsations.
No,
Pulsation?
not Pulsation.
Because they did
It-
run shows there.
At Pulsation, yes, no.
Yeah.
Pulsations was around the corner from where I lived for 20-something years. No, this was out in Kennett Square. It was literally a dinner theater. And they put a ring. It was like a theater for like a stage where they did like plays or something. And they put the fucking ring on the stage. And it was like, it was a dinner theater. You know, it was weird. It wasn't like there was people all around all sides of the ring. It was such a weird setup. And I could still literally picture because everything was dark and the crowd was behind us. And I remember being like facing the ring because I'm fucking having to pay attention and work the match from the outside, but the fans are behind me and I couldn't look at them. It was a weird. I think we only ran there 1 or 2 shows. But the first night was against the Steiners. And so the initial plan at that point, because Little Snot was out, was dances and Dudley. Dudley was the main guy because he was the best worker at the time. And dances was a pretty good worker. And then it was us. And they started doing the teasing on the outside with Sign Guy. And then Bubba came in maybe a month to 2 months later. And then Bubba was instantly in the ring.
I'm going to put this comment up by Joe Hale because I know you got a good Sandman story. What was it like working with the Sandman?
I've always had a great relationship with Hack. The best way I can say is the one match I was given. It was up in Jim Thorpe, Pennsylvania. It was an opening match, and it was the Bad Crew against myself and El Puerto Ricano. And what they wanted was that match for a few minutes, and then music hits, Sandman comes out and fucking canes us all and beats the shit out of us. And Hack came to me instantly. He pulled me aside. He said, when I hit that ring, come to me first, feed yourself. I'm hitting you once and get the fuck out of that ring, and I'm going to beat the shit out of them. Okay. Don't got to tell me twice. And that's exactly what I did. I fucking fed to him. I took my whack. I fucking took the powder, and I fucking started walking to the ring. And I again, like, you know that you have like those memories where you can still picture shit in your head in life. Mm-hmm. I can still picture myself walking back to that locker room, and all I heard behind me was the fucking whoosh, whoosh, and the crack of that fucking cane. And I was like, holy shit. Like, he beat the living hell out of them.
Jesus.
All right, Bay. Do you have any more plugs?
Oh, I got plugs out the ass.
You have your own YouTube channel. Chewing the Fat with Chubby Dudley with John Finnegan. Is that Sunday?
This Sunday night. It's rescheduled. We were supposed to do it the other night. John was sick, so
yes.
We scheduled for this Sunday night. My YouTube channel. It's at official or Chubby Dudley Official, and I also have a Facebook page, Chubby Dudley Official. But the YouTube channel, I'm very behind. I go through and I watch match by match history of ECW. Mm-hmm. And also, too, I've been doing interviews with all the ECW peeps.
Nice.
And we literally sit down and chew the fat and discuss true shoot interviews, just like we did tonight. And some go an hour, some go 5 hours. You never fucking know what's going to happen.
We're not a marathon podcast by any means, but this is our longest podcast so far.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. I did the 5.5 hour one, and now that's what people are like, marathon podcast. I fucking love it. If I go under 2 hours, they get upset.
I bet, you know.
Crazy.
So I have another question for you, Bay. what has been your favorite moment in ECW, whether it's a match, a promo, and the second question is, who in ECW you regret like not having a match with?
Oh,
Good question.
oh. Hmm. All right, let me come back to that one. The first question, I think, definitely the best match that I was part of as the Dudleys was one of the last matches I think I was at, and it was. Was it Fiber Slam '96? It was definitely '96. It was Big Dick and Bubba versus Devon and Axel. And that was the match where truly the Dudleys came into their own. As like at that point, it was like, all right, we're not just fucking opening match sideshow humor now. We're legit. We're fucking real. That's where you saw the hardcore style, the serious style, the shoot style of everybody, and it ended up. We got in a lot of fucking trouble for that match too, because I think we were the opening match, and we ended up going all around the fucking arena, and Bubba jumped off the fucking stage, and so Bubba paired up with Devon, and Stein Guy went with them, and he was like their fucking guide and guard outside the ring, and I was with Big Dick and Axel, and it was just complete fucking pandemonium, chaos, but it was so amazing. It was such an amazing feeling going through that crowd, because it was just people, the energy of that ECW arena in those days. It's so different than now. I don't know if you guys went to the arena back in the original formation of the arena in those 90s. I feel 95 up through 97, where the first pay-per-view was the true peak of the arena, when the history was made of that place. But it was absolutely electric. You can't describe the feeling that was experienced. And I thought that was definitely the peak of my Dudley career. And I was just part of this fucking, again, the sideshow, but being part of that match, even as I watch it today, I get, even talking about it, I get chills thinking about it. But a match with somebody. So I try to think of people. Like, I'm sure people will be like, oh, fucking Sabu or Van Dam or somebody like that.
Right.
That wouldn't have been my style, even though especially somebody like Van Dam would have made me look like $1 million. But, somebody like fucking Hack Myers, who was a great fucking fun worker. I think I could have had I think I would have had like a great match with the Shah. But the one match that I always wanted, with again an original ECW original way before Extreme, the one match that I've always wanted and I've never had was with Jimmy Jannetty. Oh,
yes,
because Jannetty, still to this day, as a matter of fact, I was just texting with him a little while ago. One of my best friends in life. We've been friends for 30 plus years. Mm-hmm. If it wasn't for him, he finished my training after the TWA closed, and he's the one that went to Todd and got me my tryout. Our tryout match with Todd, was the Hell Riders against Steve Richards and the Delaware Dynamo. Todd was the president or vice president of Variety Club, and he would do like they had a summer camp where he would give them a free show, and he would let guys get some tryout matches there, and that's where our first match was for Todd. And
after that, we were booked on every show.
Before I ask you one last question.
Oh, come on.
Yeah.
Just one last one?
One last one?
Yeah.
All right, maybe two. Maybe two.
My glass is almost empty. Go ahead.
Plugs. Any more plugs?
Oh, all right. So Chubby Dudley Official on Facebook and YouTube. You can just look my name up. Bay Ragni. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, on Twitter or X, whatever the fuck you want to call it. I have the Bay Ragni Show on YouTube. And you can also look up Coco Bay and Coco Bay Official on YouTube and Facebook.
All right, fine. Since you don't want to answer one more question, what was your
Come on,
favorite
whatever
snack?
you got. Whatever you
What
fucking
was-
got. Come on.
What was your favorite snack going to the ring when you were Chubby Dudley?
Probably cereal because it was easy to throw out at the crowd.
Ah,
Yeah.
I used to, and I think I started doing that more and more. I mean, there was times like I would bring a pizza, I'd bring hoagies, and shit like that. But then when I would do the cereal, and I was always like, you know, I was living in Upper Darby at the time. I would literally stop at the Wawa on 69th Street across from the old Pathmark and run in and grab a box of fucking cereal on my way to the arena. Or a box of Entenmann's donuts or something like that. But the cereal was good because I was able to grab handfuls and throw it at the fucking crowd. Especially like if they were like being assholes or whatever. I would just fucking wing it at them as I was walking down the aisle.
All right, so Bay, do you think you have enough in the tank for one more match?
You know, that I want to answer that question so fucking bad. Without what I'm working on something. That's all I'm going to say.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll say this. Save the date of May 3rd, 2025. Save the fucking date. That's all I'm going to say.
May 3rd.
But
will it be Philadelphia?
Yes.
Will it be Philadelphia?
It would absolutely be Philadelphia. Do I have one more match? That's probably the toughest question you asked me all night. In my head, I think I do. In my body, I don't know. Because I am like such horrendous, horrible, especially lately, the last couple months, the back pain is so fucking bad. I mean, I don't like these guys like a fucking Sabu. Like, I don't know how they're walking. I really don't. Like, you get up in the middle of the night to go pee. Like, it's so bad. And I just like shake my head. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, but the only way, like I said, the one match, unless it's with Jimmy Jannetty, I wouldn't do it. So that's all that matters.
So it would be Jimmy Jannetty, your final match. If there's a final match.
If there was ever a final match, I would want it to be with Jimmy Jannetty. But let's just say this. I've already spoken with him and he turned me down.
That's I understand where he's coming from.
Yeah. And other powers that be have really strongly advised me not to do it. And it's
understandable.
People in the wrestling business with just having 5 heart attacks and et cetera, et cetera. Yeah.
Yes. So come see Bay August 3rd, 3 p.m. in Newark, Delaware.
Newark, Delaware, ECWA reunion show. It's going to be the biggest night in ECWA's history. There's going to be the biggest crowd. I'm telling you.
Bigger than
I'll
any
present-
Super 8 tournament.
I think so. I think there's going to be close to 1,000 people there, if not more. That's my prediction. And it's got a very amazing pre-sale jump. So get your tickets, get your ass there. There's gonna be a lot of fucking people there. There's actually, like I said, I talked to Ryan, the promoter of ECWA last night, and he was telling us there's gonna be close to 100 wrestlers there alone.
Wow.
That's next weekend.
Next Saturday, Newark, Delaware. So be there, and also too, he's in the ECWA Hall of Fame. Joel Goodhart will be in the house, and we are going to have the flyer with the fucking QR code, and we are going to be pimping like a motherfucker for people to scan that code and sign that petition for the banner. Go to change.org. The link is in the description here as well.
Okay.
Change.org. Sign that fucking banner. Let's get that up. And May 3rd, mark it in your calendar. There will be an announcement made probably within the next 60 days. But the date is locked in. That's all I'm going to say.
Gotcha.
I'll say this. The date is locked in. Piece number 1 was locked in last night. Piece number 2 might be locked in tomorrow night, but there's a lot more pieces to completely lock in. But the pieces are coming together. May 3rd, 2025.
25.
When the pieces come together, can we have a podcast?
Yeah, of course. There is going to be a podcast tour
Oh, nice.
done to promote
Nice.
this. So trust
Nice.
me, you guys are on the list.
Thank
So
you.
be ready. Be ready.
All right, Bay, we thank you for your time.
Oh, thank you. How long do we go? I can't read the fucking thing.
1 minute and 52 seconds. I'm going to
1
hit our
minute?
music.
1
No,
hour.
we're not
1
talking
hour.
about
1
we're
hour.
not talking about sex. We're talking about fucking podcast. 1 hour and 52 minutes. Come on.
Yes, correct. We're going to hit our music or want to take it home?
Yes, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble!
This is the Three Wheels of Wrestling podcast.
All right, everybody. This was the Three Wheels of Wrestling podcast with Bay Ragni, as you know him by mostly Chubby Dudley. You all have a good night.
Good night, everyone.
Sign the petition.
There you
Sign
go.
it.